Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to another weather forecast here on the Atlantic tropics. We are continuing to monitor Invest 92L to possibly become a major hurricane as models show it is strengthening a lot as it could possibly bring in a threat for much of the eastern coast, mainly the southeastern coast from Miami all the way to portion near Kitty Hawk, where we can maybe see a landfall. And then also as far as the New England area, we also have a threat if this does go up the east coast on the Gulf Stream. So we'll be briefly talking about as well Hurricane Douglas, which is hours away from making landfall in Hawaii. We do have hurricane warnings, tropical storm warnings as well for all of the Hawaiian islands, except the Big Island, which is not under hurricane warning. So we're going to be monitoring that as well. We're going to look at the timing, the cone, the strength, also just everything for both of these systems. Without further ado, let's get in this video. Here's a look now at the National Hurricane Center. Here we have tropical storm Hannah now at 45 miles an hour, definitely weakening as it goes over areas of mountainous areas in northern Mexico. So that's gonna fall apart extremely fast. We had Hurricane Hannah make landfall yesterday in Hannah. It's continued to bring catastrophic flooding and even some strong winds for portions of the areas in southern Texas. But that's what we're not gonna be talking about today. We're gonna be talking about Invest 92L. It now has a 90% chance for development within the next 5 days, with a very high a really high chance for forming, and also a medium probability for developing within the next 48 hours at a 60% chance. So really, there's over a 50% chance for this storm to develop within the next 48 hours to become Isaias, and there's a 90% chance for the next 5 days. So this thing's going to form extremely soon, and it's going to either form right here, or it's going to form as early or as late as there. So really, this thing has a huge cone of uncertainty of when it can form. And then also, not only that, we also have a huge uncertainty of where it can possibly make landfall, whether it's going to go like this, like that, or if it's going to go like this, or if it's going to go like this, or even if it's going to go like this. That's really the huge uncertainty with this storm. I don't think this will go in the Gulf. I've been saying since this became an invest, I don't see this going in the Gulf at all. I really been saying since the start, I do see this going to the southeast, whether it makes a U.S. landfall. But really, from Miami all the way to Kitty Hawk, North Carolina, I think this, if you're in the Black Coast right here, you're going to have to monitor this very closely with Invest 92L. And then right here is where we can also maybe have to watch out for maybe some, not a landfall, but some strong winds, all depending on how close the storm gets to the coast, which models are starting to disagree with. Some models show going far out in the coast because of an incoming cold front will be pushing out the storm further out in the Atlantic, and also some other storms show it following the Gulf Stream and then going up all the coast. So that's kind of where we're kind of really models are debating whether that's going to happen or not. And here we have the Central Atlantic. This is really hours away from making landfall. There it is at 90 miles an hour, so that Category 1, 983 millibars, and is now moving west-northwest at 16 miles an hour. So this thing's going to be making landfall very, very soon, as it's a very fast-moving storm here. But let's go check out now all the details. Here's a look at satellite imagery, and here you have Invest 92L. As you see, this isn't the most organized, but that's exactly why it's an Invest. We are starting to see some denser cloud cover, some fluffy clouds. Soon we just start to see these, you can kind of see the vorticity there. You can kind of see where this low pressure is right here, really. You can kind of see that slowly but surely rotation. You just kind of see those clouds really rotating there, and soon maybe they will conjoin into looking more tropical there. But this is Invest 92L there. Let's go check out water vapor as well. So water vapor, this does look pretty good on water vapor, really. It did look better. It did look better like at night, but now it's gonna scatter water vapor. But this thing's gonna be a lot more organized as we get a lot more convection, a lot more vorticity. It's gonna look a lot more circular and tropical. Let's just say that. Let's go check out another satellite imagery here. This is now at DC where we have Invest 92L right here for portions of the tropical Atlantic right there. It is expected to head towards. The areas of the Caribbean. It's most likely going to go like this. That's what most models are showing. Honestly, I really have a feeling this will make landfall in the southeast. I really have a feeling about this. So I really think it's probably gonna go north, like the GFS is showing, and then I really think maybe it's either gonna hit Florida or either gonna hit North Carolina like that. I really have a feeling it's gonna make a landfall, whether it's Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, or North Carolina. I just have a feeling about it. Obviously, just because I have a feeling doesn't mean it's gonna happen. Obviously, a couple models show it hitting landfall, making landfall, but a couple more, but the majority do show it actually going up the coast and not making landfall. But here is imagery right here. But let's go check out another details on the. Let's go check out the tracks now. To see exactly what models are showing to happen here. So this is a more detailed one in a closer early cycle track. So this is not all the way there. It's just covering the next 120 hours. So as you see, the majority of the models do show it actually heading the hitting the Leeward Islands in Puerto Rico. But if the GFS is right, it would go like this. That is what the GFS is doing, avoiding all that land. But here's basically the code at this point. This is basically the majority of where this will go, basically, as it gets into the Caribbean. So it will possibly hit, of course, the U.S. Virgin Islands. Those areas aren't too mountainous. It's just Puerto Rico, really. But obviously, it may or may not just go east or really just west. If it does go really between Puerto Rico and hits Dominican Republic, that's where Florida is a threat. If it goes really north, like this as a GFS showed yesterday, then Georgia and Florida are a threat. But if it just goes straight like this, then that's where North Carolina and the Carolinas are a threat, really, like that easily. Here's the GEFS track and central pressure. It does look a lot more better than the yesterday, now showing 975 millibars. But as you see, this thing has a very widespread potential cone, really just all of this, bro. This is a very large cone of uncertainty, really. It can either, like I said, the majority are showing it going this part of the Caribbean, not going like this. Like I said, if it does go and hits a Dominican Republic instead, that's where Florida is in a threat. But if it goes more to just a little bit to the north like this, then Georgia, maybe Florida or South Carolina are in a threat. But if it goes way up to the north, if it goes right towards the U.S. Virgin Islands and goes straight over Puerto Rico, then that's what's not going to make a landfall. Like I said with the tracks in the previous slide. So really, as you see, we have a lot of potential states that can see a landfall. We have Florida, we have Georgia, we have South Carolina, we have North Carolina. We might even have Delaware, really. This is like a very big area, really, of uncertainty. We have a huge track as far as Georgia to near almost Bermuda. So it's a really big uncertainty, really. Here's the new mall intended guidance. As you see, majority of the malls do should be becoming named as early as the next 24. That's actually not 20. As early as the next 30 hours to as late as the next 60 hours. So, like I said, it is a medium possibility for the next 48 hours. Within the next 48 hours, but I think it'll most likely form with the next 60 hours. So, over the 2 days, around 99% of the models do show getting named storm. A lot of them should go straight through tropical storm force winds, and as early as it could be Cat 1 as early as the next 60 hours, or as late as the next 108 hours, really. But Cat 1 shows, Cat 2 shows, maybe even a Cat 3, so we're going to really watch out the possibility here. Now we're going to be seeing how favorable the conditions are, really, for this storm. As you see, this is going to be in the tropical Atlantic, over 28 degrees Celsius. And then, if it really has, this is basically where the sense is going to blow up, right here, where it's going to blow up. We have 31 degrees Celsius, almost 32 degrees Celsius. This whole area right here is where, if it does go, this is where it'll blow up intensity-wise. As you see, let's say it goes like this, it's going to be only over 29, 28 degrees Celsius. But once it starts going here, that's when it'll blow up right here. Extremely favorable conditions, whether it goes like this and skins the Outer Banks, or if it either goes like this, or if it goes like this. So there's multiple possibilities still. But if it goes like this, if it goes like a Dorian track, where it goes in between Puerto Rico and Haiti, that's when Florida will be in mind. So like I say, this is why, as far as the Key West to the kind of the Outer Banks is at a threat for landfall, because really it's uncertainty. But as you see, very favorable conditions, very warm waters. Here's a look at the humidity here. See how favorable conditions are really really high in the atmosphere. As you see, this is developing a moisture bubble, which is going to keep out the dryer, which is exactly why this would not do a Gonzalo. Gonzalo did not develop its really moisture bubble really in time or as good as this. This is a major tropical wave, so this is going to have its really big moisture bubble. There will be at times where maybe a little drier gets in this, but that's where the thing maybe just weaken a tad. But this thing's gonna really strengthen it a lot once this thing just gets its bubble and really in place, intact, and all of that. I just see this thing can really have a super strong moisture bubble and keep out all that dryer surrounding it at 979 millibars. It's gonna be a very strong system. At this point, there's no dryer getting this. At this point, there's nothing getting on here. And then it's going to go straight up to the north, to the mid-Atlantic, and then going straight up into the air near Canada. I'm just going to check out CMC here with this as well. Well, actually, I forgot they don't actually do moisture, but let's go now check out as well the wind shear here as well. At least in the next 78 hours, we do have a little shear, but not enough to take it apart. We have like 30, maybe 25 knots. Really, that's really it. And then, of course, once it develops its bubble, it really won't have that much shear to worry about. There will be at times where there's a little shear around it. Like I said, that's where at moments it could weaken a little bit, but I don't see it really doing that much. But I see this thing's gonna, like I said, the thing's actually gonna weaken to 976 millibars. It's gonna go to 978, and then that's because of that little wind shear. But then it's gonna really strengthen once this wind shear really gets out of here, and then that's gonna bring in quite the storm. Really, it's going to be a major storm, really. And then it goes through a ton of shear after that, though. But this low pressure somehow is not getting taken away by this. Look at that little dot right there. That is very, very impressive. That's how strong the storm can very well be. That it developed. It's such a big moisture bubble that even though there's 50 knots around it, it's still somehow staying up and alive. GFS here, 1,004 millibars with the next 72 hours. As you see, possibly like the GFS is showing, and avoid the Lesser Antilles, U.S. Virgin Islands, and Puerto Rico, and then head towards get closer to the Bahamas. Yesterday I did show it actually going like this. It go like this and then went like this. That's what the GFS showed yesterday. But now it's actually showing a bit more to the east as it does get closer and closer to South Carolina and the Carolinas by the time we get into August 4th. And then by August 5th, that's going to be the day whether it does make landfall maybe. And then that's going to go all the way up into the Canada area, really all the way up into the northern Atlantic, kind of where a Dolly track really went, or a Edward track. CMC, as you see, the CMC is kind of showing a different outcome. It's kind of going a little bit more to the south than GFS, but not completely different. Gonna get a lot closer to the actually gonna make landfall for those islands and actually maybe skin the Puerto Rico coast, and then actually hit a couple areas in the Bahamas, and then actually gonna really strengthen a lot at that point. It could very well strengthen a ton, and then I get very, very close to the really the mid-Atlantic coast. This is a big threat though. The CMC is kind of showing it becoming a big threat, getting close to the northeastern coast. This is kind of the only model showing it getting this close, really. We do have an incoming cold front here at the exact moment, which would probably keep out of the system and further out into the sea. And also, we have this high pressure, which kind of probably going to block, kind of a little force field blocking it out that way. Let's go and check out now the winds quickly, and then we'll take a look at the big storm in the Douglas here in the Pacific. We have 78 hours, around 45 knots here, so gonna 45 miles an hour, possibly gonna get tropical storm at that point there. And then by the time it gets over the U.S. Virgin Islands and the Puerto Rico area and Leeward Islands, that's when it's gonna really strengthen a lot at that point. And this is when it heads straight for the southeastern coast, where that's where it's gonna become a really scary threat here. Just look at this, 975 millibars. This thing is very intimidating. This is a very intimidating storm. Possibly gonna bring in well over Category 2 force winds here, just well over 72 knots, well over 84 knots. It's going to be a major system. Just look at this, 962 millibars. This is actually scary, though. And the thing is, whether it's either going to be this storm, and it goes like this, and it hits Florida, or it's going to either kind of go like this, or it's either going to go like this, and it's skin the coast. This is a really intimidating how you can see the storm, and you kind of don't know exactly where it's going to go. It's going to skin the Outer Banks, just barely missing it, and then going up the East Coast like that. Let's check out the CMC as well. What CMC is showing. CMC just get a little closer to the coast than the GFS. But here you got this big storm right there strengthening. It's going to be like a huge strengthened bubble. Just within 6 hours, going to strengthen 3 millibars. Then it's going to strengthen 5 millibars. Then it's going to drop another 4 millibars. It's going to be a major system. It's going to go very close to the Outer Banks. It actually may or may not bring in 60 miles an hour for the Outer Banks if it gets this close. And then it's going to actually bring in a big threat for the Northeast. This is a huge threat for the Northeast if CMC is right, but I don't think it'll get this close because the incoming cold front will most likely push it out further out into sea, and I don't think it'll be this big going in that part of the ocean really. Here's a look at now at Douglas here on satellite imagery, and assuming the IR, you can kind of see the convection is getting a lot stronger here. It's a nice convection. Obviously, this is Category 1, and it was a Category 3 at some point. It definitely has weakened as it went to cooler waters, and it's a really fast-moving storm now, so it hasn't really had time to strengthen much. As you see here, this storm is going to continue to move towards the areas of Hawaii, and it's take water vapor. This thing is actually very organized on water vapor. Look, it's getting very, very close to making landfall in Hawaii right now. Let's refresh this. As you see, this can possibly make landfall by 2 a.m., if not really later today, because it's either going to really skin the middle islands and then make landfall there, or if it's actually gonna make landfall then like that. So it's definitely less than 18 hours from landfall. It's probably around 12 hours from landfall, so it's getting really close here. As you see, much of the Hawaiian Islands are under hurricane warning, and then we also have a tropical storm warning for the Big Island there. So Maui, you guys are in a big threat there, and it's gonna possibly go straight over to the Hawaiian Islands. It's been a while since there's actually been a Hawaii landfall. I believe it's like 3 years, something like that, or 2 years. That may be not too long, but it's been quite a while since we've had kind of like a hurricane, because usually when these systems hit Hawaii, they go into tropical storms. So this is kind of a shocker here. And technical guidance here, it is now 80 knots, 90 miles an hour here. It's going to continue to weaken though. It will be Cat 1 when it makes landfall though. HWRF has actually been very accurate here with Douglas. It really has. It was spot on, really. So we're going to be looking at this now, so the GFS or any other model. As you see, this high pressure from the Big Island is going to block this storm from cutting it, so it's going to push it to the north. You're going to see it go to the north now because of this high pressure system. It's going to block you. That's the original why. First it was supposed to make landfall around the second biggest island, or the Big Island. But now this high pressure developed, and it's going to possibly make landfall in the far Big Island there at around a weaker Category 1. Wind-wise here, it's of course at around 80 knots here, so 90 miles an hour. It's going to weaken a lot, so up to 70 knots there. Going to make landfall on the Big Island, or the top island of the northern island there. So hope you guys did enjoy the video. This will wrap it up, but hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will possibly most likely do another update on these storms. Bye guys.